On a dark and stormy night, a man named Arash lived in an old apartment on the 4th floor. The building was famous for its history and strange stories. Arash always laughed at these stories and did not believe them, but that night everything changed. He was watching TV when he heard the doorbell ring. At first he thought he was seeing something wrong, but it rang again. With a heavy heart, he went to the door and opened it. In front of him stood a woman in a black nun's robe and a lifeless face. Her eyes were staring and emotionless. Arash was scared to see her, but he tried to calm himself and ask her what she wanted. The woman said nothing, just pointed downward with her hand. Arash, who had a strange feeling about her, ignored her at first and closed the door, but after a few minutes the doorbell rang again. This time the sound of the bell was so loud and terrifying that his heart started pounding. He opened the door again and saw that the woman was still standing in the same place. Fear and despair formed in his heart. He told himself that this was just an illusion, but I couldn't feel the danger and run away from myself. Suddenly, he heard a faint laugh from behind him. Arash turned towards the sound and saw that his room was filled with weak lights and moving shadows. He felt like he was trapped in a nightmare and could no longer escape it. He ran towards the door in terror, but found the door locked. He remembered that the nun had pointed downwards. He made an irrational decision. With his heart pounding, he went to the window and looked down. The street seemed dark and empty, but more than anything else, he was afraid and forced himself to go out the window. In an instant, he closed his eyes and let himself go, falling from the 4th floor. As he fell, in the last moment of his life, the image of the nun was etched in his mind. He realized that this woman represented his hidden fears, fears that he could never face. Arash hit the ground with a loud thud and everything fell silent. As his soul separated from his body, all that remained in his mind were the cold, emotionless eyes of the woman. Her story becomes one of horror stories, and every night the doorbell rings again at Arash's house.